Yeah, I'd like to thank ICA for getting my wife and I off on the right foot in our professional careers back in 1986 and 1987, when we were just finishing our undergraduate degrees. And from that work, it's been an interesting, my friends call my career a mongrel career. And I'm very lucky to have a job working at Norquest College where I'm able to bring together a lot of things with the team that I direct. There's 8 of us that work out of the center or in the center, based in the college. And just a little bit of background about the college. We have 9,000 full-time students at Norquest College. We're a downtown campus. 60% of our students were born outside of Canada. Between 12 and 15% of our students are Aboriginal. Our students are an average age somewhere between 29 and 30 years old, and 76% of our students are women. We are a very unusual college. I've worked in 5 institutions of higher learning, and this is the most unique place I've ever worked. I've been there 7 years, and one of the things this will be a little bit nostalgic, some of the slides. Some of you may have seen a couple of these slides before if you've been at other presentations. And the reason I pulled these slides out was because how is it that we have tried to support building a welcoming and inclusive Edmonton and Alberta with help from our funders, from the Alberta government and the federal government, particularly from the provincial Alberta government? How did we approach it? So we would like to talk first about 7 years ago, we came in with this conception of the kind of organization that we are a community college. That means we support and help develop a lively, diverse, and dynamic community. So how can we contribute to that diversity and that dynamism? We started with an idea that came to me many years ago when I was in graduate school. Bateson said multiculturalism is an invitation to learn. So if we start with this kind of an aspiration that it's this invitation, and how can we encourage people to take an invitation, to take a learning orientation, to engaging across difference, and then learning from each other so that we can build this emergent, this really exciting emergent culture that we aspire to. And but all people do not necessarily accept the invitation at first. Some people will say no to the invitation, and some people will say, yes, I'll come to your party, but they do it out of a forced sense of guilt or duty. The key thing is make sure that the party's good enough that when they arrive, they're happy they came. And we try to create meaningful ways for people at our college to engage across difference. And we use the word engagement a lot at our college to talk about the student and the learner and the faculty and the staff experience, because our college is a microcosm of our community. We serve the community, and we are also a microcosm. And some people say we're the bleeding edge of the spear because we are what the community is becoming. And it's really important. So we host, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, in 3 or 4 different sectors or groups that we deal with that help to build a welcoming and inclusive campus and community. This is a picture of one of our dialogue events that we held. As a result of some research, we came down with this very simple equation: I equals D plus E. Inclusion equals diversity plus engagement. And yesterday was interesting in the discussion that we had on the Prairie research. We talked about inclusion, we talked about integration, and if we don't have an inclusive context, it's very, very difficult for people to become integrated and to feel integrated in a respectful, meaningful, and fully engaged way. And so how can we do that? If we can do it in our organization, we can actually, through our education and through our external engagements, work better with corporations in the city and other stakeholders. So we are diverse. Our college is extremely diverse. And 7 years ago, when I approached the college, the college created the center because we knew that we were diverse, but we were not inclusive. And we were not necessarily welcoming. And we needed to research that. We needed to develop tools. We needed to develop methodologies. We needed to work with our staff, our leadership, and our faculty to create an inclusive community in our college that will then transfer to the larger community. So our byline is inclusion equals diversity plus engagement. The key is, how do we engage across our differences so that it's done in a full and complete and respectful, effective way. I was a graduate student of Dr. Milton Bennett many, many centuries ago, and I wanted to bring this little piece out of the archive. We are a college, and we work in a community. And what's really important is that we have a unified sense of how we are and who we are, and a sense of identity, a collective identity. We also, it's really important to acknowledge that we have a diversity in our context. Now, if we emphasize too much on the unity side, then all we'll get is conformity. That's assimilation. We don't want that, right? If we emphasize too much on the diversity end, then we're going to get fragmentation. It's all good. We don't want to emphasize that it's all good. There's a way of doing this, that we can actually have a balance. So what we're looking for is a kind of a dynamic balance between these two. And the balance is, if we're able to do that, we can actually create, with the new populations, innovations in how we are together and what we do and what we're able to achieve, how we're able to explore future possibilities and future ways of being together. We also can look at, but the unity gives us a place to focus. It gives us energy, a center that we can operate out from. So how do we create that kind of dynamism in our institution that also will feed out to our stakeholders out in the city? And what we noticed early on was everyone in our college and almost everybody in Edmonton had taken sensitivity training, right? But what we saw was a lot of sensitivity, but not a lot of competence. People were afraid to lean into difficult conversations. And so we wanted to have people have the courage and the competence and the confidence that we could actually do this and model this as an institution. So what we say is, yeah, we need people to be sensitive, and that prerequisite helps us to start to notice differences that are making a difference. And then we can start to learn the ways to bridge across those differences and to build our muscles and build our ways of expressing across our differences. This is sort of the transition. So we started with these aspirations, these ways of thinking, and then we said, okay, we need to do research. So our core identity of our activities that we do at the center, the 7 or 8 members of our team, is applied research. And we look into how can we take big thinking models and good research and bring it down to the ground level and create tools, resources, ways of doing things. And we work across North America. I have clients in Atlanta, Georgia, et cetera, that we work with. The most diverse college campus in the southern half of the United States we're working with right now. And it's built on research that we've done at the college. So we start with applied research. That builds, we call business development. So we do training, we do consulting, we support other organizations. I'll talk a little bit about that. We build programs in the college. We do professional development and inclusion work with our own organization. And then we do external advising. We advise organizations such as, and I see my colleague has left, but from the government of Alberta. We work with the government of Alberta to advise and to give perspective on how can we understand what's happening in our province and our city, and with the city of Edmonton as well. So what is it that we do? Well, we've been on this path, this research path in our own institution, so that we could walk our talk, so that when we work with our external environment, they can see that we are not hypocrites, that we actually can model what we're talking about. So we started in 2009 to 2012. We did an extended longitudinal study. We then built training and other kinds of engagements for our institution. The president and all of our vice presidents have accountability agreements that by 2017, 75% of our college will have satisfactory intercultural competence. That's all faculty, all staff, all leadership. And we've built a matrix and a set of criteria that have, if you want to talk to me about it, that we've built around that. And we are now building it out. We right now are at approximately a 67% place in terms of like where our goal is, and we're hoping that we'll be ahead of schedule on that so that we can overshoot our goals. Now, that's what we're doing inside of the college. So our college is 50 years old this year. We're calling it the 50 years of inclusive education. Our student experience, it's really important that they have a meaningful educational experience because they work and live in the community. They have families. So what we created were college-wide learning outcomes for our students and our curricula, so that around inclusive culture, creative and critical thinking, community citizenship, and communication and collaboration. So students are engaging this in the classroom, and we as faculty and staff must model this as well when folks are graduating and going back out into the community. They're taking that learning and engaging with each other in that way to build a more inclusive and welcoming community that way. And then there's tons of curricular and co-curricular. And just as an invitation, if you want to, we have done a lot of research and development of resources. Oops, I need to go back. And you're welcome to come to our website. We have a lot of free resources, and they're very good. So we're on different levels. We're working with the college, but because of that, we've been asked by other organizations and other stakeholders to come and work with them, and we do a great deal of work. To give you a sense of the work we've done, in terms of applied research, since 2008, we've done $4.4 million worth of research. The entire college is $6.2 million, so the center is very active. And then we've done 38 projects, 4,500 people have participated in our projects. We've worked with 60 organizations over the years to do this work. We take those tools and perspectives, and we're partnering, and we do work with the City of Edmonton, and also with rural Alberta. We have a project called Rural Roots, and if you Google Rural Roots, it's a very nice project that ties up a lot of rural populations and creates a lot of another set of free online tools and education opportunities. Roots and Connections, another funded project for ESL in rural communities and creating welcoming communities. And we've worked with Volunteer Alberta and a number of groups like that. Workplaces, we do a lot of training, English for the workplace, intercultural communication, skills development, leadership training, etc. We have a lot of oil in Alberta, and we have a lot of immigrants that work in the oil patch, and it's not always pretty. And so our job is to go in and work with organizations, and we've worked with a lot of organizations doing that over the past number of years. We work in industrial. It's a very different feeling than from the professions, and we also have launched a hospitality institute. So a lot of the people working in the hospitality industry come from different cultural backgrounds, and we design training that helps them succeed in their aspirations in their life. We also work with a lot of not-for-profits. The Edmonton Regional Immigrant Employment Council, we do mentorship, intercultural training, so we work with the mentors and the mentees, and we run monthly workshops with them, and it's very, very meaningful working with them. We work with the Edmonton Business Diversity Network. It's relatively new, and we sponsor regular diversity and inclusion and events for business leaders in the city. And we work with Volunteer Alberta on a number of activities. So, what I would like to offer is we have been very fortunate. Sometimes I come home from work and it's been a hard day, but I always will say, wow, and they pay me. it is a good job. We get to do some really interesting work. And what I would like to do is encourage people, take a look at some of the tools that we've built. If you go to Norquest College website, and then you go to Norquest Centers on the top bar, then you can look through our projects, and they're all free, like so much of it is free. We know that our partners in and around Alberta have used those resources quite a lot. I found out recently that some of our partners in Victoria are using them as well. And I hope that this conversation is meaningful, and if anyone would like to talk with me a little bit after this, I'd be happy to. I'm staying over tonight, so I'm good for a drink or a beer afterwards. Thank you.